So a construction is a geometric task that you need to perform with only a straight edge. I know this is a ruler, but I'm going to pretend that there's no markings on the, that I can't measure anything with it, that it's just for drawing straight lines. And then I've got a compass for, you can draw circles with compasses. And you need a writing utensil, and that's it. Okay, so you're going to use these three tools to do some constructions. So here I've got a segment. I'll just label this AB. So we've got a name for it. There's segment AB. And my first task is going to be to recreate this segment over here. So really I'm creating a segment that's congruent to it. It's not going to be in the same place, but it's going to be over here. So I start just by making my new point A. Kind of wherever you want. I'm going to make it on the left side because I'm going to make it go to the right. But here is my new A, okay? And then what I want to do, since I can draw a straight line from there, but I wouldn't know how far, when to stop exactly. I could eyeball it, but I want to try to get this exact as I can without actually measuring them. Again, I'm pretending I don't have those numbers there, okay? So what I'm going to do to measure instead is use my compass. We're going to use the compass as a measuring tool. So I'm going to put the pointy end in A here. Okay, whoops. There's my pointy end, and this is my writing end, the pencil end. So I'm going to match the pencil end up with point B, okay, and I'm going to make a little swoosh just to test it. So I can see, hey, my swoosh is going through point B, okay. Now I'm going to keep the compass set like that and just move it over. I'll put my pointy end in A and make another swoosh like that. So now I know that the distance from here to here is the same as the distance from point A to the swoosh. So that means I can put point B anywhere on the swoosh, and then I just connect the dots with my straight edge. If you don't have a ruler, you could use the edge of a book. Anything that's straight would work as a straight edge. There is my new beautiful segment AB. Okay? So next up, we're going to do the same kind of thing with an angle. So I'll just put 0.8 here. And then the bottom of the angle is really easy. You just draw a ray that's going off to the right. Not really worrying too much about the angle of it. It's just going off to the right. And I'm not worrying about the length because it's infinitely long. Okay, so half the angle's done. Okay, now I need to do the other half, and this is the trickier part. So again, I'm going to put my pointy end of the compass over here in A, and I'm going to set the compass so that I can make a swoosh that goes all the way through the angle. Something like that. Okay, and I'm going to leave that setting on my compass. So if you've got a floppy compass, try your best to keep it set. That's going to be the key here. Okay. So I'm going to now move over my pointy end over here and recreate that swoosh. And I want to make it at least as big as the original swoosh, because I want this swoosh to be big enough that it's going to cover the whole angle. Okay? So yeah, it's the same setting on both of those swooshes, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to label these two intersections, points B and C. Okay? And hey, this is my new point B. So what I want to do is measure the distance between points B and C on the original. So I'm going to put the pointy end now in B. You could actually put it in either of these two intersections. But I'm putting the pointy end in B. And then I'm putting the pencil end so that I can draw a swoosh through C, like so. Okay? So I'm drawing just a teeny little swoosh like that. And it got a little messy there. Teeny little swoosh like that. I'm going to keep that setting on my compass, move pointy end over to my new point B, and I'll recreate that little swoosh. And now what I have, this is going to be my new point C, because it's going to be the same distance from point B as C was over there. Okay, so this is my new point C, and now I can use my straight edge to draw the rest of the angle. I'm just going to draw a ray that goes from A through C, and those angles should be congruent, right? You can measure them. It might be a teeny bit off because these aren't super scientific tools, but if you did it really carefully, it would be exact. Okay? All right. Next up, I'm going to construct a perpendicular bisector of segment AB. I know it's going to look something like that. So you could draw it in right now and get a pretty decent estimate. But let's use our tools. Okay, this is my favorite one. Okay, so I'm going to put the pointy end in A, and then I'm going to set the compass so that the pencil end is closer to B than it is to A. So it doesn't matter exactly where, but I want it to be more than halfway to B. So see how the pencil end's closer to B than it is to A. Okay? Once you've achieved that, make yourself a nice big swoosh, like almost a half circle, and don't worry if it goes into, off the designated area there. It doesn't matter. Okay? So I'm getting myself a nice swoosh like that. Now keep this setting on the compass, and I'm just going to flip the compass around so that the pointy end is in B. Okay, same setting on the compass, and I'm going to do the same kind of thing, and you should get this Eye of Sauron here, right? You should get a football shape, something like that. Okay, and you want your swooshes to be big enough so that you've got an intersection up here and up here. So if they're not big enough, just make them a little bigger. Now all I have to do is connect the dots there with my two intersections. Okay, and this line I'm drawing should be the perpendicular bisector of segment AB. And if you measured it, it should be pretty darn close to a right angle, and we should get congruent segments like that. Okay. All right, next up, we're going to construct an angle bisector. Again, I could eyeball this. I know it's going to go something like that, right? But let's use our tools, okay? So I'm going to make a swoosh kind of like this one up here, just any old swoosh that goes through the whole angle. So I'm just setting my compass. So I've got a swoosh that goes through the whole angle, like so, okay? And I've got these two new intersections now. I'm keeping the setting on my compass here. I'm just labeling these B and C so that I can refer to them, okay? So now I'm going to move the pointy end over to B with the same setting on my compass, okay? And I'll make a swoosh that kind of fills up the angle. It doesn't have to fill up the whole thing. It really just needs to fill up the center of the angle, okay? And then I'm going to keep the same setting, and I'm just going to move the pointy end up to C and do the same thing, another swoosh with the same setting. And I'll have that intersection there, and that intersection should be on the angle bisector. So now all I need to do is draw either a line or a ray or a segment that goes through from A to that point. I'm going to make mine a ray. Okay, and actually I'll do my final one in pen here. Maybe I should have done that on all of these. But yeah, this is going to be my angle bisector. Okay, and I'm just going to mark that it's an angle bisector like that. Okay, so just going back to this last one, this was the final product here. Okay, all right, and one more. All right, so I'm going to construct a line that is parallel to line M and goes through point A. So yeah, you can eyeball it really quickly. It's going to look something like that. But again, let's use our tools. So I'm first going to draw a line. You could draw it like that, but I like to do it at an angle. So I'm going to draw a line that goes through the line and point A. And I'm going to extend that line a little bit above, so it gets almost to the writing up here. Okay. Actually, I might even go a little further, just to make sure I got lots of room here. I'm going to make my line go all the way up into that box above, like almost to the top of the ruler there. So I get something like this. Okay. What I'm going to do now is measure this angle, okay? So I'm going to measure that kind of in the same way we did up here on this one. What I'm going to do is take, I'll make a little swoosh, and I just made this a little smaller so that it's a pretty small little swoosh here. So have it so your pencil, you could do it with a big one, but it's going to be trigger because we'll run out of space. Okay, so I made myself a little swoosh like that, and I'm going to measure the distance between points B and C now. I'm going to measure it not with the ruler because I'm pretending I don't have the ticks on it. I'm measuring it with my compass. So I'm going to set pointy end. I'll actually set the pointy end in C here. Okay, and the pencil end over to B. And just to test it, got a little swoosh there. Okay. Oh, like something like that. All right. So now I'm going to do the same kind of thing up here. I kept that set. Oh, I forgot to keep the setting on this swoosh. So I'm going to have to redo this a little bit. Sorry. Okay. I just reset my compass so that I had that swoosh because I forgot that I needed to create a similar swoosh over here. Okay. Now that I got my similar swoosh, now I'm going to remeasure this, so I might have to change my compass a little there. All right, I guess it's been a while since I did these. I forgot one of the steps there. Okay, so now I'm setting that, okay? And now I'm going to move the pointy end up here, okay, and make another little swoosh. And hey, these two angles now should be congruent. I mean, I haven't drawn this angle yet, but when I draw an angle that goes, I'm going to draw a line that goes that way. They should be congruent, okay? So here, let's connect the dots here first. Something like this. And this is going to be my final product, so I'll do this in pen, but it doesn't matter if you're doing pencil, just for clarity's sake. Okay, now, since these two angles are congruent, hey, those are corresponding angles. And when corresponding angles are congruent, by the converse of corresponding angles, the two tracks should be parallel, right? So, hey, these should be parallel. And there we go. And there's our constructions. See you next time.